Hey YouTube, DIYJunkie369 here, and this is week 27 of my weight loss video blog. I'm getting back into making weekly videos and staying on track with weight loss and stuff, and this week I was down to 276.8. That is a BMI of 33.7, with about 27 pounds lost so far since I've started. That's just 1 pound a week, but you have to remember there was a good portion there where I got completely off track and had started gaining some weight. So hopefully I'm getting back into that 2 pound a week movement and will still meet my goal of being down to 220-ish by March 2020. So calories. I didn't track Sunday. I can't remember if there was any reason why. I just didn't. I was probably feeling lazy. And then Saturday, unfortunately, I was 1,500 calories over. And then Friday, I was 700 calories over. So having to work a little bit to get back into how I was eating before I completely got derailed. As far as my water intake, every day over 100 ounces, no problem. And then there were several days I was over a gallon because I was outside and it has gotten really hot and humid. And when that happens, even if I'm not exercising, my water intake just skyrockets. I think one day I might have actually broke 2 gallons. As far as my 10,000 steps a day, only met my goal Wednesday and Friday, and on those days I had over 12,000 steps. But then I was under every other day of the week. On those days I was under, I averaged roughly 6,000 steps. So not horrible. I mean, there's some days in the past before I started this I was only getting 1,000 steps a day. But that's only 50% of my goal. Or, well, I guess if you want to do the real math, it's 60%. And then for sleep, like normal, I was 1 to 2 hours short every night of 8 hours, except for on weekends. Those days, even though I go to bed late, I usually sleep in quite a bit, and it's easy for me to get about 9 hours on those days. Now for my 2019 steps in 2019, I'm not doing so great, and part of that is because I haven't been meeting that step goal that I've set for myself for each day. To meet that goal, I was supposed to average 5.53 miles a day. Currently, we're 180 days into this year, so getting close to halfway. Actually, we should be over halfway. And I only have 490.7 miles out of 995.4 miles that I'm supposed to have by this point. So I'm barely at half my goal, or where I should be. And part of that was due to I had a malfunction with my Garmin, and there was a lot of mileage that I walked for about a month, maybe a month and a half, that didn't get tracked. I mean, I think if I look back at my records, it says in March I walked roughly 2 miles for the entire month, which is just improbable. I mean, I can't sit around that much if I tried. So I'm 504.7 miles short, and to make that up, I'm going to have to put in some extra work. Basically, I need, for the rest of the year, instead of walking 5.53 miles a day, I'm going to have to walk 7 to 8 miles a day to make up that difference. So, let's see. Today's topic, I'm going to be talking about Bowflex. I know when I was a little kid, the commercials were all over the TV, and I thought this was the way you needed one of these things to get in shape. I don't know why I bought into those commercials. I was a kid, I didn't know any better. Anyway, my thing was I usually lift dumbbells because they're cheap for the like a set you can pick up in Walmart that will get you up to 40 pounds total, I think it is. And those come with different plates and you can put different weights on there. And I want to say they were about 50 bucks. And you can kind of use them anywhere. And there's workouts you can do with just those that will pretty much make going to the gym pointless. But I recognized that there was some pieces lacking. Like, I could do bench press, but I'd have to lay on the floor. I didn't have a bench. Rows, I'd have to find a chair and do my rows that way because I didn't have a bench. Lat pull downs, which I wanted to work those shoulder muscles to get both stronger and better form for pull-ups, which is one of the 3 exercises required for the Marine Corps PFT. And I didn't have a good way of taking care of that other than rows maybe for the dumbbell workout. So I went out and I was like, well, I'll buy a Bowflex. It can definitely do lat pull down. That's like the one thing all their machines seem to have. And on top of that, the particular one that I found has a detachable seat on a roller so you can do some rowing. I don't think it's quite as good as a dedicated rowing machine. I've used a couple of those, especially at hotels or gyms that I've belonged to in the past. And this one's good enough, but it really, something's missing from it. I don't know if it's like the length of travel or what. If you can hear that, they're testing the tornado sirens today. It's completely sunny outside, so we don't have to worry about that. Anyway, so I went out looking for a Bowflex, and I found one on Craigslist. If you're going to get one, this is the way to go. Get it on Craigslist, and don't pay more than $100 for it. Anyone charging more for that is really trying to like recoup their money that they probably lost because they bought the thing and then been using it for a towel rack ever since. But Craigslist, $100. Best thing, well, almost the best thing I've ever bought on Craigslist. I could have gone out, bought a barbell set with a bench, but that seemed to take up too much space in my mind because then I'd have to get a plate rack. And most benches I've seen, there's not really any way to fold them up. And Olympic barbells, they're pretty long. I'd say they're roughly 6.5 feet in length. Maybe actually 7. It's been a while since I've had one. And a lot more expensive. Usually if you buy a weight set like that, people are going to charge you $1 a pound, even on Craigslist used. If you're buying it new, you might be spending more to $2 to $3 a pound for weights. So I went with the Bowflex. It's more compact. When the rods aren't bent, they're sticking straight up, so the machine's only about 18 inches wide. And then the bench, you pull out a pin and fold it up vertical, so you're only occupying like a 2 foot by 2 foot square when you're not using the thing. But don't use that space permanently. Like, say I'm in this room, I could sit here and do the video and the machine would be right off here. But as soon as I'm done doing the video, I can put the bench down. I'm not going to stack anything in this area or use it for storage, because then you're less likely to use the machine, which is kind of what happens to those and treadmills. People start like, oh, I have some free space here, I'll put this box here. But then when they go to work out, for some reason, moving that box is too much work for them. Like, I need to do workout, but moving this weight is too much. Who knows? That's weird. But for some reason that happens. I can't explain the way people think. Heck, I can't explain the way I think sometimes. So anyway, if you do remember the Bowflex ads that I was talking about a minute ago, you remember that these things came with a money-back guarantee. I don't remember the specifics on them because I'm not sure anybody's ever really tried to get their money back because they didn't get their Bowflex results. It was probably easy. Bowflex would just go like, yeah, you didn't follow what we told you to do, of course you didn't get the results. But it was pretty much, hey, you got 6 weeks, if you don't see the results we've promised, we'll give you your money back. Basically, we'll take the machine from you, no problem. Well, luckily for me, the Bowflex I bought came with the original manual. And so I read it. First off, I needed to know how to put the machine back together because I didn't have a truck to drive it in. I had to disassemble it to get it home. And then, but what I really found interesting, other than pretty much there's any workout that you could possibly want to do, they designed this machine to handle it. On top of that, they had very specific workouts and a meal plan to go with those workouts. And I've been in these videos real big on, you need to eat right. You can't outwork a bad eating habit. And I think this meal plan that Bowflex put in their manual is where the secret really lies in their results. In fact, I feel like if you didn't have the machine and the workout, you probably could get the results you're looking for without even, changing anything other than following their meal plan. So this meal plan basically tracked two things. They gave you specific things and calorie amounts to eat for 6 weeks. And it was planned out: breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner. I think they even have late night stack. And starting out, if you're a male like I am, week 1 and 2, you're only allowed 1,500 calories. And here, originally I was limiting myself to 2,000. I was still having a little bit trouble with some weight loss, so I dropped down to 1,600. Mainly 2,000 was kind of recommended based on my weight and activity level by MyFitnessPal, the app. And I think it might have been off a little bit, and probably my metabolism was a little bit slower than they were thinking for somebody my age. So I dropped it down to 1,600. 1,500 wouldn't be impossible. I've actually eaten a couple days where I barely managed to get 12. And according to MyFitnessPal, the absolute minimum you should be doing is 12. So like I said, you have no activity level. You eat 1,500 calories. You're going to lose weight. Well, depending on your height and age. What's crazy about this is that's it. That's the max. Like with MyFitnessPal, if I go out for a run, I get 300 to 600 calories that I can then eat. It does net calories, not total or gross. With this meal plan for Bowflex, that's gross. There is no net. They don't care. So that's guaranteed weight loss there. And then when you get into week 3 and 4, they have you drop down to 1,400 calories. So even further reduction. And part of that is I don't think they really needed to, but you've already adapted. You're not really starving anymore. 1,400 is no big problem. But it also kind of keeps that momentum going to where it doesn't give your body a chance to adapt. And I think that's the biggest thing they were trying to achieve with that. And then by week 5 and 6, you're all the way down to 1,300 calories. You go to Burger King, get a Whopper with fries and a drink. I don't even think it has to be a large. It could be a medium. That's 1,300 calories. So imagine eating only that all day long. So there's a meal plan, and as you can see, that's probably the Bowflex secret based on what I've covered in past videos. And if you hit 6 weeks and you're not down to the weight you want to be, you go back to week 1, 1,500 calories, and then go through the whole process again. They also spell out how much water you should be drinking. And I know a lot of people are like, oh man, a gallon of water, that's too much. 100 ounces. That's too much. You're going to flush out all of your electrolytes. Well, you won't think it's too much after you hear what Bowflex has you do. The first week, 128 ounces. That's a gallon. And they say make sure it's ice cold, so you have to expend some energy to heat that water up so your body can absorb it. There is a little bit of truth to that, but I would rather drink room temperature water to where my body is going to absorb it. It's not going to be rough on my body. And then the other side of that is with cold water, some of it's just going to pass through you because it's not easily absorbed, and I feel like you're losing some of the benefit of drinking cold water versus normal temperature. I'm not a big fan of ice water. With warm water, supposedly it's already at the temperature, it's easier for your body to deal with and absorb, so you get more of the benefits of actually intaking the water versus the cold water. Yeah, you have to heat it up, so you get a little bit of weight loss there, but it's not going to be enough to matter. The amount of energy we're talking about is maybe 100 calories drinking this much water, which over 7 days, that's 700. That's roughly, I don't know, quarter pound a week. Then week 2, you bump it up to 144 ounces. If you thought 128 was a lot, man, that's a lot more. And then week 3, 160 ounces. At this point, I might as well live in a swimming pool. That's a lot of water. For week 4, 176 ounces. I think Bowflex was trying to drown people. You can't return the machine if you're dead. Week 5, 192 ounces. I mean, we're closing in on 2-gallon range here. There is a point where you can get an electrolyte imbalance by drinking too much water, and I'm wondering if Bowflex caused a spike of these incidences. And then week 6, you are up to 208 ounces. That's twice what I normally drink at my 100-ounce goal. It's just insane. I wouldn't be able to eat anything because I don't think I could force myself to drink that much. My stomach just can't hold it. I would also feel like it would come back and bite you, because if you did drink that much, your stomach's going to expand to accept it. Well, as your stomach expands, it kind of resets where you feel full at. And so all that water is basically making your stomach larger, making you able to intake more food, and even kind of giving you the feeling of, if your stomach isn't filled to that capacity, I need to eat something right now because I'm starving. That's where that feeling comes from. It's actually like your stomach shrinking back down and causes kind of pain that registers in your brain as hunger. So, and then like competitive eaters, the guys out there eating hot dogs, like, they won't really eat anything maybe a day before, but they're going to be pounding water to get their stomach expanded out so it can accept like 32 hot dogs or whatever the record is now. It's probably 100. Those guys are insane. The crazy part is most of the guys I've seen are skinny too. And then from there on, they have you just main that 208 ounces of water, which is good. Even if you could drink that much, it'd be really tough for Bowflex to go like, oh yeah, you need to drink 2.5 gallons now this week. They'd be insane. Everybody'd like go, yeah, I'm not doing this, and send their stuff back. And then for their exercise plan, there's not very much to it. You're going to do 9 exercises at max. They cover the entire body pretty much. Arms, back, shoulders, legs, core. And that is just 12 reps max. And the machine, the highest it can go is maybe 210 pounds. Is the max this machine can do. So, I mean, not a very hard workout, especially if you're doing a leg exercise. So, really, like I said, you're doing about 9 exercises. Max you're going to be pulling on any of those exercises is 210 pounds. And your max reps is going to be 12. And you're only doing 1 set of those. And their workouts, they say you better not take any more than 30 minutes to do them. So there's really no long rest period between sets or different exercises, but you do have to take some time to reconfigure the machine between each one. And you're only going to do that 3 times a week. And I think really, one, they want it to be short and not often for people who are too busy really with their lives to stop and take care of themselves. So they got that going for them. And then I think it's just kind of enough to keep your muscle toned and to where you're not losing muscles because you're not taking in enough energy. So it's kind of we're going to do just enough to keep the muscles you have there, so that way your metabolism doesn't drop because you're losing a whole bunch of muscle by not doing any workout. But it's not really enough to have the weight loss that your Bowflex is promising. Obviously, it is their meal plan and drinking all the water. I just thought that was really interesting, that is the true Bowflex secret, not the $1,000 machine or whatever they cost brand new. It's been a long time since I've seen a commercial, so I don't remember. Now, people that have done reviews on Bowflex, I think most have been negative. Part of that is because people are used to working with free weights or cable machines with heavy weight blocks where they go to set up the machine, they grab like the 50-pound bow and pull it down. It's like, oh, that's not enough resistance. And then when they do it, it's like, oh, the pulleys are taking out resistance. This doesn't feel heavy enough. And part of that, I think, is how Bowflex tells you to use a machine versus how most people lift. So like, say guys on the bench press, I'm laying down, and they go and they pick the weight off the rack and then they drop it down their chest, and then they kind of usually will do something to cheat and also like really shove into it and try to make that movement as quick as possible. And they're like, oh, I'm lifting a lot of weight, I can do 1.5 times my body weight. And usually though, if you watch the guys that really know what they're doing, they'll come down like slow, because they're getting that negative movement exercise, and then they'll go up slow. They might be lifting less weight, but they're probably getting more of a workout. Well, people take that same style of movement into Bowflex, and it's like, oh, I gotta do an explosive movement, and it feels like there's nothing there. But if they had read the manual, it says when you do this move, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then even back down 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do it in that manner with that 4 count movement that Bowflex specifies in their manual, it's actually going to be a pretty good workout, and you're actually going to feel like you did something, versus the guy who's sitting there 1, 2, 3, 4, like, yeah, he's going to bang out 12 reps in about 6 seconds and go like, oh, that was easy, this machine's junk, it's not nearly hard enough, and I put in the exact same weight that I normally lift. And it just comes down to that movement. So just keep that in mind if you see somebody saying there, like, oh, the Bowflex, that's bullshit, their workouts are too easy. Well, they're probably doing them wrong. As I said before, you don't really need the machine. The key thing is the diet plan that they put you on, and I'll put a link to that below in the description if you want to go and check that manual out for yourself. It's crazy that's what they're having you do. And as I said before, if you are going to get a Bowflex, go on Craigslist, find one that's $100. Don't spend a lot of money on this thing. It's a good machine if you need something because you have nothing, but you could get away with doing quite a bit with just dumbbells, and you can get a good set for $50, and if you spend $100, that's like a really good set. So given the two, at least the barbells, you could roll them under your bed after you're done with them. I just was hoping to expand what I was able to do by getting the lat pull down and the rowing capability, and that's really almost the only reason I bought one of these things. So I guess my $100 was for a lat pull down tower and a rowing machine. In that case, it was a good buy for me. So that's all I've got for this week. Next week I'm probably going to be talking about my high blood pressure and water softeners. Learned quite a bit about that over Christmas break. I just am now getting around to talking about it. And then after that I'll probably do something along the lines of how paleo isn't really paleo, which if you watch some of my videos, I say I'm on paleo and I'm a big paleo fan, but I do have some problems with that. So I guess 2 weeks from now that's going to be my anti-paleo video, which will be kind of eye-opening for some of you. And then probably about week 29 or 30 I'll be talking about training plateaus and why your weight loss is stalling out. So hopefully see you for those videos. Keep doing what you're doing. Remember, focus on the eating, especially in light of this Bowflex secret that I've just exposed, and keep losing that weight and being healthy. Please hit the subscribe button and the like button on this video.